a treatise on waters collected by a certain student of the art, from the writings here and there of the books of Raymundus Lullus on the Epistle of the same, which is called accurtation, and RST of all on mineral waters. Son, there are two waters extracted from one part of nature, in which the entire secret of the mineral stone resides. One makes the stone volatile, without labor and danger. The other ezzes it, and with it, the operator's will. This water is extracted from a foul menstruum, mixed with 4 substances, and it is stronger than muddy water, whose spirit alone amply as the tincture of the ferment, etc. How this water is made, you have in the Testament according to the principle. Chapter that begins, you, in the power of A, take one part of D, and also in magic. In the chapter collect the Germina Capiorum, the method of operating with it you will ND in the letter of accurtatio. In the chapter that begins, for the entire way of minerals, and also in the same letter, which begins, the accurtatio of the mineral stone can, etc. Regarding vegetable water. Son, thus, equally, there is one water made by art, which is called the juice of moonwort, through which the entire virtue of the vegetable stone is con armed, which is also called vegetative mercury, heaven, and quintessence, of which water has a twofold virtue, namely to make the volatile stone, and to exit and render it said by the skill of the artist. And how this is made, you have in the RST book of the quintessence, in the chapter Do Not Consider Me a Liar, and in the soul of the transmutation of metals, where the same water is called the menstruum, without which nothing can be fashioned. In the chapter that begins, the present book is divided into 2, and in the chapter but nevertheless you must RST, Most Serene Prince, and in the Practical Testament, in the chapter that begins, take 2 ounces of G, vegetative. Similarly, you have it in the letter of accurtation, and also in the magic, in the chapter that both begin, take black darker than black, and in another chapter of the Testament about this water you will ND, which begins, you take from the liquid of moonwort. The method of operating you have in the letter of accurtation, in the said chapter take black, and likewise you have its operation in the soul of metals, which begins, you, most serene prince, in the power of A, take gold, although we do not currently concern ourselves with the greater operation, but with those things that are done through accurtation. And similarly, this is the water already mentioned in the soul. In the chapter, the work of the pearls is thus ordered, and also concerning it, you will see in the 3rd book of the quintessence, in the practical work of the tree of philosophy, where it is said, take red or white wine, and not long after, in the sermotional practical work, in the lesser work, in the chapter that begins, the mode of liquefaction is this. And you also have about it in the same book in the FTH question, about abstract questions from the Gur S, where it asks what the vegetative menstruum is, on the mixture of waters. Thus, my son, there are 2 waters made from 2 mixed natures, united together to form one, in which the entire secret of the mixed stone is hidden, which at the same time possesses a divided nature, namely, to dissolve the stone and make it volatile, and to fashion it with the same and exit. How this water is made, you have in the Testament, in the chapter that begins, my son, you take 1 ounce of G, vegetative, and in the magic, where the composition of Ari is given against nature, in the chapter of the acuted vegetative water, and its principal composition you have in the letter of abbreviation, in the chapter that begins, with the distilled vegetative stone. The method of operating with it and its accurtation you have in the magic, where it says, the hidden solution of the philosophers of the moon, in the chapter that begins, the vegetative re in solution, etc. The same practical work you have in the letter of abbreviation in the aforementioned chapter that begins with the distilled vegetative stone, read until the end, and you will have its secret, which you must not reveal to anyone. My son, in a similar manner, there are 2 waters extracted from one part of nature, but by the alteration of the artist's skill. They are made into one of the same and the other of different virtue and nature, although in the matter from which they are derived, they do not die ere in their beginning. in which or through which the entire work of the precious stone is accomplished. These waters, my son, are impregnated with the natural virtues of the artist's industry, which cause their power to accomplish many wonders, after they are introduced into special retorts, in such a way that one of them is made in the constructive earthly virtue, and has its virtue and nature in the gathering of the precious stone. The other, which is contractile and airy, its spirit alone, without the heat of Re, as you can see in the lapidary, in the chapter that begins, "When you wish to make stones," and also in the soul of metals, in the chapter that begins, "The carbuncle is the king," but also the spirit of that water, which is contractile, and the nature of earth, with its smell, solidy as quicksilver into the most proven silver without heat and without Re, better than if it were extracted from a mine, as the basilisk kills every living creature instantly by sight. This hidden truth is RM'd by faithful Raymund, who was the master and special interpreter of all that is accomplished through this art, as he speaks of it in the Soul of Metals. In that part where he discusses the practice of the philosopher's stone, in the name of Christ, concerning the spirit of that water, he also speaks of the spirit of that water in the lapidary, in the chapter that begins, "My son, you shall receive the material dregs," etc., in the end. However, how these waters are made, you will ND in the Soul of Metals, in that part where he discusses precious stones, in the chapter that begins, "Therefore, when the metals are dissolved," and in the lapidary, in the chapter that begins, "Demonstration of this practical work," and in the following chapter, "Note these things, and praise God." Appendix Y, creating a spagyric preparation from Melissa O., commonly known as lemon balm, sinalis. 1. Separation solutio. The plant material is macerated or crushed and mixed with a solvent such as alcohol or water to extract the soluble components. 2. Filtration. Filtratio. The extracted liquid is altered to remove any solid particles or plant debris. 3. Purification. Puricatio. The liquid extract is subjected to processes like distillation or evaporation to separate the desired constituents from unwanted impurities. 4. Incineration, calcination. The remaining solid residue from the purification step is burned or incinerated to obtain the mineral salts and ash. 5. Reunion, reunio. The puri-ed liquid extract, tincture, and the obtained mineral salts and ash, calyx, are combined again. 6. Fermentation, fermentatio. The combined tincture and calyx are fermented together, allowing them to interact and undergo a transformation over a period of time. 7. Extraction, extrahere. After fermentation, the mixture is further processed to extract the desired components from the fermented mass. 8. Final formulation. The extracted components can be further concentrated, diluted, or combined with other ingredients to create the Naal spagyric preparation. The laboratory steps involved in further concentrating, diluting, or combining the extracted components to achieve the Naal spagyric preparation can vary depending on the species C goals and methods of the alchemist or herbalist. Here are some general steps to be familiar with. 1. Concentration. If the extracted components need to be concentrated to increase their potency or to remove excess liquid, various techniques can be employed. This may include processes like evaporation, where the liquid is heated to evaporate the solvent and leave behind a more concentrated extract. Alternatively, techniques like freeze-drying or vacuum distillation can be used to remove the solvent while preserving the desired constituents. 2. Dilution. Dilution is the process of reducing the concentration of a substance by adding a solvent, typically water or alcohol. This step may be necessary if the extracted components are too strong or concentrated and need to be adjusted to a desired potency or dosage. Dilution is achieved by carefully measuring and adding the solvent and species C ratios to the concentrated extract. 3. Combination. In some cases, The extracted components from a single plant may be combined with components from other plants or substances to enhance their EECTs or create a more complex formulation. This step involves carefully selecting the additional ingredients based on their desired properties and compatibility with the original extract. The components are mixed together in specie proportions to achieve the desired synergy or therapeutic EECT. 4. Processing and stabilization. Once the desired concentration, dilution, and combination of components have been achieved, the sphaeric preparation may undergo additional processing steps to stabilize the formulation. This can include techniques like altration, clarification, or aging to remove any remaining impurities, clarify the liquid, or allow for further maturation of the preparation. Appendix 2, the creation of the quintessence of wine, is a process that involves the distillation and purification of wine to obtain its purest and most net essence. Here are the general laboratory steps involved. 1. Distillation. The RST step is to perform a distillation process to separate the volatile components from the wine. This is typically done using a distillation apparatus such as a still. The wine is heated, and the vapor that rises is collected and condensed to obtain the distilled liquid. 2. Fractional distillation. To further re-knead the distillate, fractional distillation can be employed. This process separates di-errant components of the distillate based on their boiling points. By carefully controlling the temperature, di-errant fractions with varying concentrations of compounds can be collected. 3. Collection of the heart or quintessence. The goal is to collect the heart or quintessence of the distillate, which represents the purest and most concentrated form. This is achieved by discarding the initial and null portions of the distillate and collecting the middle portion, where the desired compounds are concentrated. 4. Purification. The collected quintessence may undergo additional purification steps to remove any remaining impurities. This can include techniques such as altration, decantation, or the use of purification agents like activated charcoal. These steps help re-knead and clarify the quintessence, enhancing its purity. Step-by-step explanations of the processes of altration, decantation, and the use of purification agents, like activated charcoal, to re-knead and clarify the quintessence. A. Filtration. Set up an altration apparatus consisting of a funnel and an altar medium, such as altar paper or an altar ask with a porous membrane. Ensure that the altration apparatus is clean and properly assembled. Place the activated charcoal, if using, on the altar medium to act as the altration aid. Pour the quintessence slowly into the funnel, allowing it to pass through the altar. The altar medium will trap any solid particles or impurities present in the quintessence, allowing the clarified liquid to pass through into the receiving vessel. Take care to prevent excessive agitation or disturbance during altration, as it may reintroduce impurities into the liquid. Repeat the altration process if necessary to achieve further purification and clarity. B. Decantation. Allow the quintessence to settle in a clear, preferably glass, container. Over time, heavier particles and sediment will settle at the bottom. Gently pour the clarified liquid from the container, being cautious not to disturb the sediment at the bottom. Transfer the decanted liquid into a clean container, leaving behind any remaining sediment or impurities. Repeat the decantation process if needed to remove additional sediment or impurities. C. Use of activated charcoal. Add activated charcoal to the quintessence using a recommended dosage or based on the species C instructions or recipe. Stir the mixture gently to ensure even contact between the charcoal and the liquid. Allow the mixture to sit for a certain period, typically several hours or overnight, to allow the activated charcoal to absorb impurities. After the desired absorption time, carefully decant or alter the liquid to separate it from the charcoal. If desired, repeat the activated charcoal treatment process to achieve further purification. Activated charcoal works by absorbing impurities, toxins, and unwanted compounds through its highly porous structure. It acts as a purification agent by trapping and removing these impurities from the liquid, thus enhancing its purity and clarity. Activated charcoal may also absorb desirable compounds, so it should be used judiciously and not excessively to one. Should note that the species C techniques, quantities, and times for filtration, decantation, and the use of purification agents may vary depending on the species C circumstances, equipment, and desired outcome. It's always recommended to follow established protocols, recipe guidelines, and safety precautions when performing these processes. 5. Maturation. After purification, the quintessence may be aged or matured over a species C period of time. This allows for the development of its full potential and renewment of its avers and aromatic qualities. Appendix 3 on the preparation of the quintessence of pearl. 1. Preparation of the pearl. Start with a high-quality pearl as the prima materia. Ensure it is clean and free from any visible impurities or coatings. Grind the pearl into a knee powder using a mortar and pestle or other suitable grinding equipment. Alternatively, you can choose to use pre-prepared pearl powder available from reputable sources. 2. Extraction. Place the pearl powder into a glass vessel or ask. Add the quintessence of wine to cover the pearl powder completely. The quintessence of wine is a high-quality alcohol obtained through the process of distillation from wine. Seal the vessel and allow it to macerate or soak for a period of time, usually several weeks or more. Agitate the mixture intermittently during the maceration period to enhance the extraction process. The quintessence of wine will extract the essence and bane seal properties from the pearl powder. 3. Filtration and separation. After the maceration period, filter the mixture using a filtration apparatus or a Nimesh filter to separate the liquid, the extracted essence, from the solid particles. Collect the altered liquid in a clean container, ensuring that it is free from any sediment or impurities. 4. Concentration and purification. Transfer the altered liquid to a distillation apparatus, such as a glass still or alembic. Apply gentle heat to evaporate the quintessence of wine while leaving behind the concentrated quintessence of the pearl. Collect the condensed vapors in a receiving vessel. This process, known as distillation, helps concentrate and purify the quintessence by separating it from the quintessence of wine. 5. Maturation and storage. Transfer the collected quintessence of the pearl to a suitable storage container, preferably dark glass bottles to protect it from light. Allow the quintessence to mature and develop its desired qualities over time. Store the bottles in a cool, dark place, away from direct sunlight and extreme temperatures.